Well, fancy meeting you here. I hope your week continues to be off to a good start. It is Tuesday evening. I do know it's Tuesday. Some days of the week these days, I feel like I don't know what it is, but today is Tuesday. I had a fun win today. I had a closing today for a very, very dear client who bought entirely remotely. This is my first completely remote transaction of COVID-19. And I should clarify, in terms of completely virtual, the client lives out of state and did not have the ability to come into town while everything was going on, didn't feel comfortable. And so we did everything virtually. I walked through the properties. I did video. I sent everything to him. We corresponded. I painted all of the very appropriate pictures on everything, and well, hopefully I did a good job. We'll find out in the next few weeks when he's actually able to get to town and see how how everything transpired, and if he likes the house that together we picked out and I walked through for him. But that felt it felt funny. I think I've said it before. I always swore that we would never, not in my career, would I ever see a time in which people bought homes without walking through them. And today I defied my own odds with that. Now, I have had those types of transactions previously. 9 times out of 10, they've been investors where it didn't matter as much of what the property was, and it was really just a numerical phase. But that was an exciting win for me. And like I said, a little bit of pressure. Hopefully I did a great job. Anyways, tonight I wanted to dive just into I'm going to be quick tonight. I'm going to try and be quick tonight. I try and be quick every night so that you don't have to spend too much of your day listening to me. I read an interesting article just on some more data that's been released based off of April 2020 numbers on a national level. And there were a couple of data points. Obviously, real estate is local. Even within Chicago, everything's very specific. But I thought there were a couple of data points that were really important for us to understand and to know. And I just wanted to share them, hopefully quick. One of the ones that I thought was most important. So this is really taking a look at the final numbers for 2020, the month of April. Now, on a national level, the average time from contract to closing is actually 4 weeks. In Chicago, we typically say 30 to 45 days. Sometimes we do sooner, sometimes it's obviously longer than that. But average for us is 30 to 45 days. Nationally, it's considered 4 weeks. So we know that where there were some pre-COVID numbers in April, we definitely started to see quite a bit of properties that went under contract post the start of the pandemic, whether you're saying it was when the orders were being put into place, whether the recommendations were being put into place, when there was a state of emergency. Obviously, there's a lot of mile markers, but clearly a lot of the transactions that were happening in that month were from pre-COVID times, post-COVID times. Anyways, you know what I'm saying. So one of the facts that I thought was most interesting, they took the top 85 metro areas in the country and they looked at numbers from April 2019, compared them to April 2020. And interestingly enough, only one metro area saw a decline in price. Interestingly enough, it was San Francisco, which is usually not the one that has a decline in price. But to be fair, the decline in price was 0.2%, not 2%, 0.2%. So the one decline over 85 metro areas in the city saw a 0.2% decline in price year over year. The other 84 saw some level of increase, which I think starts to give us a little bit more of that confidence on some of the data that we're looking at. Chicago in general, just to bring it home and make it a little bit more specific, year over year, saw a 6.8% growth, which for us is actually quite high. Now, once again, not every type of property. I'm doing that cardinal sin thing, and I'm talking about real estate in general. But as a whole, Chicago, not Chicagoland, Chicago saw a 6.8% growth year over year, April to April 2019 to 2020. Month over month, interestingly enough, also in March 2020 versus April 2020, we still saw a 3.4% growth. Now, obviously, we've talked about it. A lot of this is coming into the fact that we are seeing quite a bit of undersupply, and that is we're seeing sellers aren't quite as comfortable with having their houses on the market right now as buyers are comfortable with being in their houses. And that's causing a bit of a heightened market in some of our specific markets. Not all of them. Some of them are still, kind of starting to loosen up a little bit more, but we are seeing certain markets are quite competitive. The other interesting national point that I saw was some of our most competitive markets year over year in terms of how quickly they're selling and at how many homes are selling above list price. Interestingly enough, a lot of them are coming from areas that have seen a significant hit from COVID. Washington State is seeing in Seattle and Tacoma, both those areas are ranked as some of the most competitive markets out there right now. Rochester, New York is up there too. Then we also see San Jose, San Francisco, Oakland. Those are areas that are always ultra competitive, so not quite as surprising. But I thought it was interesting to see that those other areas were ones that were significantly impacted by COVID, and yet they are producing numbers that are showing that they are the most competitive right now. The other kind of on that level, kind of an area that got really, really impacted, but is showing an exceptional growth right now, Detroit. Detroit obviously has been decimated per COVID, and they've seen an incredibly high amount of deaths in comparison to confirmed cases. They have seen the highest price growth year over year, April 2020 versus April 2019. So those were just some really interesting data points. Once again, most of them aren't falling within my area of expertise, and I'm just giving you some of this information. But I think it is important for us to, as I keep saying, understand where this information is coming from. It's all supporting what we're seeing and what we're expecting, and just kind of touting the fact that the real estate markets, the residential real estate markets are performing relatively well right now. I mean, they are holding their own. Prices are holding their own, and this is just the news I wanted to continue to report today. So on that note, be kind. Be kind to one another, and be kind to yourself. Take care of one another. Take care of yourself. Be ever so smart in your social distancing. Be supportive and proud of those that are out there working. It is scary for a lot of people still, and let's be respectful of that. We are doing great. I'm so proud to have you as part of my journey. I hope you're enjoying me being a part of yours, and we are one day farther along in this. So I will look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and have a great evening.